Welcome to Coconut Chats, everyone. It's Harita here today, and I'm joined with my co-host Chris. Hey Chris, how are you?
Hey Harita, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Today's guest is a good friend of mine who I've been friends with since university days, many years ago. Kirti and I met while she was studying in Wellington, and recently she's been telling me about an app that she's been creating with her husband for a wee while now, and I thought we just have to interview her about it. The app is called Hug a Bear, and in a nutshell, the app allows a mum to seek anonymous support with the tap of a finger. It sends an SOS to mums using the app worldwide, who then get to show up for other mums in need without knowing what she looks like, how many followers she has, her race, colour, or anything that identifies who she is. Hi Kirti, how are you?
Hi, Harita. Thank you for having me. Hello, Chris.
Hey Kirti, thank you for doing this with us.
You're most welcome. I'm very excited about it.
So, Kirti, you sent me a write-up about your app and why you created it. But then I thought, I don't want to bore our listeners with my voice. I want our listeners to hear you talk about it instead. So we'll get right to the questions. I guess first things first, before you even created this app, what was your own experience with pre and post fertility?
So I battled with polycystic ovarian syndrome for almost all of my life. I was diagnosed at the age of 16, and if you don't know about polycystic ovarian syndrome, it is also referred to as PCOS. It's a complex hormonal condition that affects about 1 in 10 women. And one of the most common ways it shows up is through irregular periods or lack thereof. And that's how I knew there was something wrong. I used to fake my periods through high school to be quote unquote normal until one day I realized, you know what, I can't do this. So I did a lot of research and I told my mum to drag me to a gyno who then diagnosed and confirmed this for me. So I always knew that there was going to be struggles fertility wise, trying to be a mum, and possibly I won't be able to be a mum. So when I met my husband, who is just designed to be a dad, and I say that with utmost conviction, so I did tell him about my PCOS, but I don't think either of us really realized the whole infertility and the extent of it, right? So when you go through infertility, Harita, you are on your own fighting behind closed doors with an enemy you cannot see and an outcome that you cannot predict. You know, people around you either are not a part of it because you're too ashamed or too cautious to let them in, or they just don't know how to be supportive, right? And that's where all the advice and cliches and everything start kicking in, and that does not help. And I used to tell to my husband, you know, trying to explain to someone that why you want your own kids if they haven't gone through infertility is like trying to tell them why you would rather breathe. And it's very hard when you are trying to put yourself up, you know, go through all these 5 stages of grief every single month. It takes incredible courage to pick yourself up, dust off, and try again. It impacts every aspect of your life. You know, your husband, your relationship, everything in my life was changing. So my pre-fertility journey was very painful. I think it took us 2-3 years, which apparently is not really bad compared to a lot of stats out there. I remember going to bed in tears almost every day for 6 months until we finally got to see a specialist. And I was then diagnosed with having a tumor in one of my ovaries, which I could have lost in the operation. So we went through a lot of turmoil, but at the end, it became very, very like scientific. You know, there was no love in creating a baby. Our intimacy would start with a phone call at work by a fertility specialist or a nurse saying, we would like you to have intercourse tonight and day after tomorrow and maybe 2 days after that, just to be safe. And it was very funny. But at that point, I used to look forward to those phone calls, you know, because that phone call meant that I was fertile. That phone call meant that I had hope that month. And that was huge for me. And obviously my husband liked it for the opposite reason, which we will not go into detail. But we went through a lot of turmoil, a lot of issues, and then I finally got very lucky when I got pregnant with Xavier. And it was just before we were about to start IVF and just after I had the operation. So it was completely unpredictable. But then I spent the next 38 weeks battling complications, reading books about pregnancies, doing all the courses offered by experts in hospitals. And I was so ready to be a mom and hold my baby. And my dream did come true. He's now turning 2 this week, and he's just an amazing little person. I'm not sure if you can hear him in the background, but he's screaming, Mom.
No, we can't. All right. Moving on, Kirti. So, when all this was happening, were you ever under PPD, or for our listeners, postpartum depression? And if you were, how did you seek help?
You know what, Chris? I was so sure that I had postnatal depression, but to my surprise, I was never really diagnosed with one, who didn't even know they needed help, who just pushed everything inside in this deep, dark hole until the hole started consuming them. So that was my experience with the whole postnatal thing. And I do believe I have postnatal anxiety. I'm not going to lie. But it's only now that I'm being brave enough to acknowledge it myself, and I'm a work in progress, and so is everything I do. But I think most mothers out there would agree that being a mother is a work in progress every day.
Yeah, of course. So with this app, Hug a Bear, what's the global reach of your app? And then what's the business model behind it? How do you expect it to reach out to all the mothers in the world?
So the app was initially released only in Australia about 6 months ago. We, as in husband and I, released it on our anniversary. And we started getting a lot of messages from mums in other countries, like US, UK, where they really needed something like this. So we decided to, release it worldwide, which we only did a couple of months ago. So we now have over 100 women from around the world in Hug a Bear family. So at this stage, it's only available in English, as we don't really have the translation capacity. And the app, in all honesty, has no real business model. It was one of the things that we did as a couple together to help other families, so they don't have to, drown in the waves of early parenthood like we did. So it took us over a year to learn how to code an app, learn everything about cybersecurity. My husband is in IT, so it kind of helped. But we learned so much, every little detail that went into Hug a Bear, it came from our heart and soul, including the logo, including the colors. Like it took us a year of absolute hard work, sleepless nights, and juggling a newborn to come up with something that we knew had to be out there. So we're very proud of ourselves to have released it now. It's absolutely free and will always be. Although at some point we may have additional services that may end up having a subscription base, but we don't know anything yet, to be honest. And we made sure that it was safe for all the mums, no advertisement, no lock-ins, just pure support. And what we hope to achieve is every mum who gets hold of an app like this, we want them to experience a lot. We want them to experience transformations, right? The other day we had a mum who used the app when she just left her husband with a 2-month-old baby because her husband was being really aggressive and abusive, and she had nowhere to be. Her friends were not even aware of the relationship issues they had. So she was on the road alone, crying, nowhere to be, and using that app. To me, that served my purpose, and every other mum that would help in a similar situation, I know it will be worth it, even though we broke our backs and our banks getting us to here. But I think for us, it's more love that we are spreading. We have no idea how we're going to make money off it, and if we ever make money off it. But yeah, so business model absolutely doesn't exist. But like I said, we are new to everything, including Hug a Bear, and one thing we do know is as long as we both are healthy and working, we will always make sure it's free.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank
I
you.
just have another question,
Mhm.
Kirti. Do you think moving on in the future, this app will have any space for a single father?
Absolutely. Like what at the moment we just wanted to focus on the mums because there are a lot of mums out there who are doing it on their own as well. And in all frank and honesty, I can relate to them a lot better, and it's more for me as well. But we always know, like we've always known that we're going to do something similar for fathers, single or not, because they also need the kind of support. And I think it's harder for men to come out and be vulnerable, especially men. So if we can create something where they can actually be anonymous and they feel like they're not judged for speaking up their truth, it'd be much easier for them to come forward and seek their mental support for their well-being and the well-being of their family. So yes, there will be something down the track, but like Harita mentioned, we are still quite new to this. So yeah, at the moment it's only for mums.
That's amazing. What you're doing is absolutely noble. Arita, we'll move on to you.
Yeah, so I know you said a lot that your husband helped you make this app. So can you explain how your husband helped make your dream a reality?
By believing in me. That's one of the first things he did. He, like, I know it sounds very cliched, but he has been my rock. He always just stepped in and did everything. I never had to ask him for support, right? I remember, like, throughout his early years and Xavier's early years, I'm not sure if you know about witching hour, the glorious hour when all the kids scream at night. For us, it lasted for 6 hours every night. And my husband would hold Xavier, run up and down the house in complete darkness to calm him while I stayed in the bed, literally just trying to survive. Little things like that did so much for my sanity. And he always pushed me to go explore myself. He told me to be the mom I want to be. He didn't want to be, clipping my wings, as he would put it. But when I came up with this and I confronted him with how I felt and how I felt so unsupported, and obviously it's very hard for a woman to express exactly how she feels, especially if something she doesn't want to admit to herself. So I love that in that moment, instead of judging me for saying it, he took a step back, he processed it, and he just looked at me and said, let's do it. And we used to give Xavier bouts, and he would talk to me about what my ideas are. And he said, you know what, you don't worry about it. We know we don't have money, but I'll go learn everything. So he learned the whole coding language and developed an app that I think is absolutely fucking amazing. Excuse my French. But, it's not an easy thing to do. Like, the amount of hours that man has poured into something that he doesn't even know he believed in the beginning. Yeah, it's incredible. So I honestly say I wouldn't be the mom I am today. I wouldn't be the woman I am today, especially after marrying him. And I wouldn't have Huckleberry if I didn't have him. So he was definitely the soul. Actually, I was the soul. I think he's more of heart of Huckleberry.
But you need both parts.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Depending on what kind of day I'm having, he becomes heart or soul. But, he's not listening, so he can have it.
It's actually amazing that the two of you actually developed the app on your own. Like, I know when I've seen on your Facebook about this app that you'd created and everything, for some reason I was always under the impression that, the app idea was yours, but maybe you've outsourced it to someone to do for you, like a professional app designer or someone. Until speaking to you now, I never had any idea that you and your husband actually did all of it yourself. And also, to spend all that money on learning how to code and how to develop an app, but then to keep the app free at the same time, it clearly shows that the money spent to make the app doesn't matter. You want to actually make people use the app and feel the benefit out of it.
Absolutely.
I think that's absolutely amazing. See, I'm useless with IT, and I'm just thinking if I had to create an app, I would probably just stare at the screen and not even know where to start. Like, as it is, I'm pretty useless with technology.
See, that's why I was smart, right? I married a smarter guy. At least he was tech smart because I sucked at it. But like that's one of the things, so Harita, I know I have to, even as like a business owner, I don't think I can do very much justice to Hug a Bear because I'm still very raw in how I feel about it. So it's very hard for me to do how they call it brand stories and get my voice out there. And I think I'm only just starting to do it. Working with a lot of influencers and like other marketing experts just to actually learn how to market. I didn't actually think we needed to learn all of this, to be honest. I thought I would create something really amazing. People are going to look at it and they're going to be like, yes, I got to use this right now. But unfortunately, we live in a very fast-paced world, which means we have to do everything digitally, including spread the word and awareness. So it's a lot of, we still have a lot of ways to go. And that's one of the reasons why we don't have that kind of like a steady growth path. But I must say, yeah, you're right. Like, I like you, right? When he was showing me, look, like all this code, look here, I can change the colors. And I used to go, no idea what you're doing, but keep doing it. And I used to just leave him to it, to a point where he stopped asking, which really worked really well. But yeah, like I don't think anyone really realized just how much work and love you've put into it. And to be honest, I was actually looking initially to outsource it, and I went out and got a quote. And when they said it was about 60, 70 grand, we were like, screw that. That's a lot for the yeah, like 60 or 70, something like that. It was insanely expensive. And not only to have an app, but an app that can actually talk to your phone. That was apparently another step. So we learned a lot about all these things, and we just hope that people actually use it. We are really struggling with the concept that it's still very hard for moms to ask for help. We have a lot of moms in there who would use the app and jump in other people's chats and then tell stories about how they're struggling as well. And I quickly realized that we are so, I wouldn't say brainwashed, but we are trained to be a giver. We are trained to be looking after everyone else but ourselves. So when we taking the phone and saying, I need a hug, is not easy. It's not easy for many moms, especially the ones who are struggling. So yes, so I do thank you for getting me on here, and hopefully a lot more moms could get to know about this app and use it, and hopefully feel loved in their moments of need.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, now that we're talking about your app, Kirti, we want you to tell our listeners how to use the app, if they have the app on the phone, how to go about using it.
So great question. Thank you, Chris. So first of all, go to App Store or Google Play and download the app. I'm sure all of your listeners already know it, but I'm just going to say it. The app allows you to just create a profile. So you don't have to put any of your personal information in there, because we made very sure that unlike other apps and social media apps out there, we're never going to use or sell the data. So you're just going to download and put whatever username you want to put, and just be open to receiving love. And in the moments of your need, you can press or tap a finger and press a button to send an SOS to all the other users in the world. What it does is it creates a unique 24-hour-long private chat room where other moms can actually come in and just show love and support and help you get through the next 24 hours. So that mom that actually comes in, they don't know which profile you're from. They don't know who you are, how many followers, and or anything about you. All they know is they want to help. They want to show up for another mom, another woman, another sister in the world. And they just want to listen, and then offer support. So once the 24 hours are up, the chat room disappears and everything you said disappears, but all that's left is the pure joy of love and giving. So it's a very simple app. You can give and receive love as many times as you want. But from my own experience, motherhood is created, one day at a time. So if you can get through the next 24 hours when we're feeling really low, we can do this.
Yep. So with all the people that are using the app so far, I think you said there's about 100 mums using it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if any of the mums have like kept in contact after this 24 hours? You know, like do they sometimes exchange contact details, or you know?
We actually discourage it. I know it sounds strange. The whole idea of Hug a Bear is you always have a friend. You don't know who that friend is, but there is a friend out there. You will always have a person who cares. We live in a world where we constantly need to know more. You know, we want to always get to know get to know what their truths are and who they are as a person, or just mingle and make friends, which is great. But what ends up happening is you end up going into a cycle of getting to know someone, and then you end up being very cautious of what you're saying and you know, everything like that. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put the social aspect of it out, and it's use it just purely for a virtual support. So we want our mums to stay anonymous because they actually share the truths they wouldn't want anyone else to know. You know, it's a place for you to vent without thinking or even caring about, you know, someone else finding out who you are. You can change your profile name 100 times a day if you want to. You know, the whole idea of it is anonymous. So that's why we don't want people to start exchanging information. Look, some people do, and that's on their own, but we do not encourage it, and it's not designed for those purposes because our mums in there are very vulnerable. They tap in because they are in the rut, or they're having a bad day, or they haven't slept for hours, or someone or their relative or in-laws just said something that completely broke them, or they feel very judged in the journey they are. So yeah, long story short, we discourage it, but yeah, some people would still do it.
Yeah. Okay. And last thing, I know you're launching a course called Find You in Mum. Do you want to quickly tell our listeners about that before we wrap up our conversation?
Absolutely. I'm actually really, really excited about this course. So I'm launching a course called Find You in Mum on 9th of May, which is Mother's Day, to honor on the mums past, present, and future. So this course has been designed with the help of experts. So what I've done is I brought in experts everywhere, like all the experts I could find, to be honest. But I made sure that it's covering everything from spirituality to medicine to your physical health to your emotional health. So what I've done is I've created this 12 days to transform a mum so she could actually focus on self-care and self-love without the guilt, you know, and get the answers that she needs. So it provides and teaches a mum how to build a support system and why to even have it. We spend so much time, or especially a waking time as a pregnant mum, discovering and like researching everything about motherhood and pregnancy. Everything that I've looked at, everything I've researched as part of my own journey always led me to one day. So it only teaches you how to be ready on the birth, you know, and how to get you to that point. But ironically for me, that was the only moment in my motherhood journey where I was actually supported. You know, that was the only time I was surrounded by experts who wanted me to rest, who were telling me to go take a nap, which never happened after that, by the way. And yet I was so frustrated that I wasted all this time just gearing up for that part of motherhood, which is the only part that's supported. What about everything that went afterwards? So I want to help other moms so they can actually be on the forefront. So when they go into motherhood or they're starting their motherhood, they get the support they need and how they need it, and be confident in asking it rather than passively assuming that it's going to be there. So hopefully, yeah, we can help a lot of moms through it. Having a lot of experts also make sure that we cover the spirituality side of a mom as well. We have taken inspiration from matrescence. Matrescence, if you don't know, it's a word that's coined to describe the becoming of a mom. So when you become a mom, like adolescence, when you go through adolescence, you are expected to be, you know, unpredictable or moody, or, you know, you are expected to have all these amazing hormones going in your body. So people kind of cut you some slack. But when you become a mother, the similar process happens, yet we don't acknowledge it. So what I'm trying to do is create that support system for that matrescence. So as the woman metamorphosizes into a mom, she herself is supported. So she has all the tools she needs to help her, because sad mothers are not failed mothers.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds so amazing. Like,
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
so proud of, you coming up with this app idea and just, like using your own experience to help others out there. I think it's one of the best things anyone can do.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time today, Kirti. To all our listeners out there, we hope you enjoyed listening to our episode today. And if you're a new mother, then please download her app, Hug a Bear, which she said is found in the App Store or Google Play Store. And if you have any questions about the app, you can always message us on Coconut Chats and we can pass your query on to Kirti. If you've got any ideas for future episodes or any feedback on this one, please leave us a comment on our Facebook page or email us at coconutchats@gmail.com. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.